Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. Ooh, it's way different dating in your 50s than it was dating in your 20s. That's what people tell me all the time. And it's a lot of reasons that clients come to me for coaching. It's a transition to learn things that you once knew how to do in your 20s, but they're changed so much now, 30 years later. Like, how do I start over? How do I do this? Everything feels different. I'm different. The situation's different. We have technology, lots of things, but there's a deeper level to some of the things that have changed in you and in the situation from 30 years ago, if you're over 50 and dating now for the first time. So today I'm going to be a little bit more specific for my over 40. I think it's applicable as well, but interesting to people who are younger to see why they should find their partner now. Hire a coach, find a partner now. Don't wait till you're older and stuck in your ways and things are just become more challenging. If that's at all interesting, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. In your 20s, you've got a big friend group. You're in very social situations very often and you're out for fun. In your 50s, many people are out less often. Some people struggle to find people to go out with socially. It's a third wheel situation or other couples once you're divorced. A lot of your friends were couples. You don't often start out as being a newly single person in your 50 with a bunch of single friends for most people. When you go out in the setting where you're likely to meet potential romantic partners, it's usually more of a mission than it is just let's all go out, a big group of us, and have a bunch of fun. So slightly different, those two, and I'm not making generalizations here saying everybody has unique circumstances in all of these and in everything we talk about here. I'm aware of that. I try to make you all aware of that as well, but that generally speaking, that would be the case. Balancing a romantic life with having the responsibilities of perhaps school or a job in your 20s is different than having the responsibilities in your 50s of having children, maybe grandchildren, aging parents, a career, a business of your own, a home you need to take care of perhaps. All these things create a difference in the amount of time that we get to spend and focus on finding a romantic partner. Much easier when you have few responsibilities and lots of free time, but obviously it works for all of my over 50 people. They're out there dating, coupling, finding someone and starting a life together. It can be done. It's just different. A lot of people in their 20s still find they're in a phase of being really open-minded, open to people, have their natural curiosity still intact, where I feel like a lot of the people I talk to in their 50s are not always willing to compromise for another person. I think we're not as flexible in that way as we perhaps were 30 years ago. We're not willing to bend backwards, at least. We'll bend a little bit, but not into a back bend. We can't all do back bends anymore after 50, so I can't do one anymore. Back's not that limber. But I think that it's not about being stuck in your ways. Maybe it's about knowing what you want and not willing to compromise, where younger people are still willing to explore people who don't fit what they had imagined as they set out to date. Do you remember being in your 20s and having a romantic streak, reading a book, watching a movie, and knowing that potentially that could be you in that movie, you in that novel that you're reading? I think that a lot of people in their 50s who have had their first love, their first relationship or marriage getting back out there are a little more jaded. We have to work a little bit harder to reconnect with our romanticism. Back when we were in our 20s, you met people in social situations through friends or at work. That was it, or just out and about. Now we have a lot of technology, so that's very different. It's a good thing in that it opens up a world of opportunities for us, and it doesn't have to be someone we run into in real life. You know I have a guide about meeting people in the wild, right? Just thought I'd mention that. As someone over 50, we don't always have time to meet people out and about, but so it's great that we do have these advantages of the internet and of technology to assist us in that. Doesn't mean we can forget about being on high alert and open to possibilities when we're wandering through our life out in the wild. It just means that when we started, it had to be in person, and now we have options. The thing to be careful of here is that you don't fall prey to the illusion of choice. Don't burn through or be so choosy, ridiculously choosy with what you see on the app or online that you think there's always going to be more, that there's going to be somebody better. If one little thing doesn't strike you as being ideal, on to the next. Don't fall prey to that, because that's an illusion, as it is called. In our 20s, being married, having a family was something in the distance that we looked forward to, that we were excited to experience at some point. Being in your 50s, these are often things that you've already experienced. So it's not like you go at it with the same timetable, the same pressures of time to have a family, or maybe even the same excitement, because it's a little bit of a been there, done that. Maybe that's just because it's an experience that we've already had and it isn't new to us this time around. Doesn't mean it can't be fun or exciting, and definitely once you find your person, very fun, very exciting. But as you have to struggle to put yourself out there into something you may not want to do, those can be the feelings that are underlying that lack of excitement, perhaps. Number 8 is that when you're younger, especially end of your 20s, perhaps 30s, you have a biological clock often to contend with. So for some people, they feel that they need to find their person on a specific time frame because they do want to have a family, and they think there's a better age range that they should be doing that. In your 50s, you're dealing with another clock, but that's your life clock. Don't want to run out of time before you've been able to experience all the things you want to with a partner in your second half of your life. In your 50s and beyond, you want time to maybe travel or just enjoy this person in general. And you know that the end is closer to you than the beginning, and it changes things. And that can be a really good thing, because you're not going to waste time. You're not going to take things for granted, and you're going to feel really grateful when you find your person. I think we should work on feeling really grateful that we have the opportunity to find this person and have something to look forward to, sharing whatever this journey looks like with another person. Being someone over 50 myself, having almost all my clients over 30 at this point, I'm much more aware of the challenges of dating past your 20s. So let me share just another couple challenges here for you that you may encounter, just to put it in your head, make you aware of it. Number 1 is that we often have less patience for the process. And you have to have patience, because nobody is just going to stop by and drive up your driveway or park in your parking lot and ring your doorbell saying, hey, I'm the one. So we've got to be able to put ourselves out there. The good news is that we are more confident putting ourselves out there, because why not? We've learned through these years that we are who we are. People are going to like us or not, and that's fine. And it's less of a risk, and that makes that challenge a little easier to deal with. Next is that as we get older, some people are going to deal with challenges with intimacy. It's also something that we can plan for ahead of time. If you know that's going to be an issue, you can make sure everything's in working order by seeing a physician prior to putting yourself in a situation where you're far enough along that having sex with this person is an option and intimacy is imminent, and be prepared for that. That's it. It just takes a little preparation for many people. And then next up would be that being in unfamiliar territory, especially for the technology. I've worked with some clients in their 70s and beyond who just have a challenge with how they meet people when they're not meeting them at the groups that they involve themselves in, meeting people in the real world, but having to rely on technology. Sometimes that can be a little more challenging. And many things just feel unfamiliar when you haven't been out there doing it. So I tell them, this may be unfamiliar to you and make you feel a little awkward or uncomfortable because you don't know it. But many of us who are out there dating after a 30-year, 20-year hiatus know that everything is different, and that unto itself is a huge unsettling feeling for a lot of people. So just get over it. That's my coaching advice. Pretty good. I'm good, right? And then speaking of sex, I know that a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be weird with somebody new after being with one person for so long. And I encourage you to think back to your 20s and think how exciting that was to be with somebody new for the first time. Tap into your younger self and do that in a lot of ways. Think to yourself about, how would I feel about this if I was doing this for the first time, if I was back in my 20s or 30s and had anticipation for all the processes that will help me to partner and find somebody that I'm really compatible with and I will enjoy long term in a committed relationship. I think that's really helpful. Speaking of having sex after a long hiatus, perhaps I have this episode here. If you have a couple extra minutes, I think you'd enjoy it. It goes into more detail on that. I appreciate you being here. Listen to my mother. Give the episode a thumbs up if you can. And then also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Helps me out so much. I really appreciate it. I'll look forward to seeing you back here again soon. And until next time, have a good one.